Thanks for joining us on another episode of The Grind. Here's your host, JB.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. It's good to be back in front of my computer. Again, as I said the last time, please bear with me. This is a change in my life and my family's life as well as it is for you, seeing and hearing things a little bit differently. Hopefully the content's just as good. I promise we'll get back to where the sound is superb and the video is a little bit better as well. But for now, I have to deal with what I have to deal with. And if you hear of any rumblings in the background that sounds like fighter jets, that's exactly what's going on. Little did I know, Virginia Beach has a lot of naval air activity. And unfortunately, the apartment I decided to lease is right smack in the middle of their flight path, whether they're coming or going for some reason. So you may hear some rumblings, and I apologize for that, but hopefully we can try to keep most of them out. But good to be here. Some exciting duels coming up very soon. I apologize for waiting so far into the week. Life has been crazy for sure, but was able to get a hold of Brian Reinhardt. We'll get him on here in just a second and talk some NC State duel coming up in Boone on Sunday at 3 p.m. in Varsity Gym. Folks, it doesn't take a good wrestling program to realize when an in-state school comes to town that Varsity Gym is going to be crazy. It is that way. Whoever comes to Boone at Varsity Gym, wherever they're from in the state. The fact that it is NC State on Sunday will just add to that level. If you want to be there and you don't have tickets, I would strongly recommend you purchasing season tickets. Those people will obviously be guaranteed entry. Outside of that, I have a very good feeling that at some point the fire inspectors or marshals of App State is going to close the door to that facility, because I would expect that NC State will travel well, and I will expect a lot of our fans to be there as full capacity returns for the first time for wrestling since the pandemic issues. So if you want to be there, season tickets, I will tell you right now, I tell everybody this that will listen, it's the best $45 you're going to spend in Boone. Season ticket, $45. You're going to see a level of competition unrivaled in Boone. Seriously, as good as our football program is, the level of competition on that mat on Sunday is second to none in the state. It doesn't reach that level anywhere. So football, basketball, occasionally, obviously, but what you'll see in Boone is going to be pretty special Sunday. So it'll be good. Before we bring Brian on, do me a favor, retweet, share, like, subscribe, wherever you're at, Facebook, Twitter, where else are we at? YouTube and Rockfin. So go check us out there. Speaking of Rockfin will be where we stream the duel on Sunday, and I'll have some more information after that when we get done with Brian here. But let's go check in. Let's go check in with Brian and welcome him back to the grind. Brian, I think you're the first guest outside of App State that has appeared twice on our show. So definitely appreciate the opportunity to chat with you again.
Yeah, I remember last year. It was fun getting together. Great just previewing a great in-state duel, like you said. I've been with NC State for a while, and I've been to Varsity Gym 2 or 3 times, and even coaches, our athletes, it gets loud in there. So Sunday when the Wolfpack rolls in, we're all looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be an exciting time. These teams, obviously, I think everybody, right, is dealing with a situation where we've got seniors that are returning. So the level of talent that is going to be at that Varsity Gym between these two teams is never before been repeated. I mean, we've never had the same way with kind of what the football programs have dealt with, super seniors that are returning. And a lot of these seniors had some of the best years of their career their previous year. So to come back to the mat and step back on that mat and be able to compete again is pretty exciting for us for sure.
Yeah, that's what a lot of our 6-year guys say too. I think we have 4, 3 are in the starting lineup right now, and they're just excited to be back with the team, back out there. Definitely a little bit of a different mix though. We have some guys 24, 25, and then some freshmen 17, 18. So it's definitely a different time in college wrestling with the age mix right now.
Yeah, that is for sure. As with anything, really. A lot of it's kind of funny when you pick up on those conversations of the student athletes, kind of poking fun at each other about their ages and how long they've been on campus and all of that sort of thing. Definitely not the level of basketball yet. I don't think anybody's reaching 30, but getting pretty close, closer than they ever have. So, Brian, I will tell you, NC State wrestling. I believe last year when we came to Raleigh and faced you guys, you were also a top five team. You're
Mhm.
coming back to Boone, still a top five team again in the nation. Tell us a little bit about how your season ended as a team, and kind of where you guys what's brought you guys here to this point in the season.
Yeah, NC State's been very fortunate. We've been in the top 10 each week for the last 6 or 7 years, I believe. 3 straight ACC championships, really proud of that. So rolling in with the conference championship, NCAA's second highest finish ever in school history, 6 last year. We lost one starter from last year's team, and the lineup is a lot different than last year, which is kind of interesting. We have a lot of guys back, but we also have 5 freshmen starting in our lineup right now. Couple guys moved weights, a couple of super seniors came back. So definitely a wild mix of what we have going on right now.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say 5 freshmen starting with all the super seniors that are returning, and we'll
Mhm.
dig into that a little bit deeper as we go through your weight classes. But definitely some interesting matchups or possibilities of matchups. Obviously, some guys that have probably seen each other before, but with 5 freshmen
Oh,
in the mix now for you guys this weekend, definitely we'll see some first timers on the mat here in
yeah.
Boone, and probably not a lot of previous competition amongst each other. So let's, like I said before we got started, what I want to do is just kind of go down the weight class. Give us your input on who we could possibly see, some of their background, and maybe
Mhm.
what to look forward to from them. So let's start at the bottom, like we always do, with the 125 guys. These guys, I will tell you what, if you're not a wrestling fan and you're considering coming out to Varsity Gym on Sunday at 3 o'clock as we face the number 5 NC State, the 125 thing, the thing you're going to notice the most is these guys are quick, man. 125 pounders move fast. And before you know it, they'll have points racked up that you didn't even realize you saw. So, looking forward to these guys. What do you have looking forward to on 125 at NC State?
It's funny you mentioned matchups. This is the very first one. These guys actually hit last year. Camacho beat Caleb Smith 5-1 in extra matches, which you have your duel, but last year was such a different year. We were just doing some extra matches after duels the very next day. So these guys actually saw each other last year. And Camacho is up to number 5 in the national rankings right now, all bonus point wins. And he'll say he was even a little surprised he got a pin last match. He doesn't get many pins, but he's been putting up a lot of points this year. And we started at 125 in our 2 previous duels, and just like you said, his point scoring has gotten the team going right now. It's just get out there that first match and get a major, get a tech. That's been the key to us. He's very offensive this year, which we're liking. High expectations for himself, high expectations from the coaches. So Camacho is somebody we really look to score a lot of points with.
Yeah, and we'll definitely see Camacho again. He's a regular in these past
Mhm.
couple of years that we faced you guys. Faced Cody Russell last year when Cody went
Yep.
down to 125. So expect somebody different in App State, and we will. Anybody watching right now, um, part of my busy evening, late this evening, will probably be John Mark Bentley on maybe 9:30 ish. To talk about the lineup, I really don't have a lot of background right now in our lineup as well as most of the listeners, and as NC State is dealing with. There's a lot more movement than I anticipated.
Mhm.
So we'll talk to John Mark and get a piece from that. But yeah, Camacho is a regular, and he is a quick guy, and obviously had a great season last season.
I think that's a good
133.
point. Wow, you said, lineups are going to be changing a lot this year. You have COVID, you have illnesses, you have super seniors who don't need matches, you have freshmen that need matches. So, yeah, just because we're rolling out 10 doesn't mean those are going to be the 10 starters come ACC championship. I'm sure App State is in the very same boat, still figuring out lineups too. So, these early duels are really interesting with who you get on the mat. So, it will be interesting to see.
It will be, and for some, and the coaches know, you can't say across the board. For App State, this duel is about facing stiff competition week one, right? Like these guys are going to see a level of competition that may be unrivaled all season. So for them, getting out there and getting a grind in early in this competition and being able to face this level early in the season for them, I will tell you, John Mark loves it.
Mhm.
A lot of other teams don't schedule teams this tough in the early weeks, but for us, it's about facing the level of competition that you could potentially face at the end of the season. So, pretty excited for that, Brian.
Mhm.
Definitely a great point. It's going to lineups are going to change week to week, I think, for a
Absolutely.
lot of people. So it'll be fun just to keep up with it or try to keep up with it because
Yep.
it'll probably drive you crazy if you try. 133, Brian. What do we have to look forward to from NC State? What's the likely?
Yeah, 133 at NC State. We actually have two weight classes. I say we're kind of up for grabs right now, and 133 is the first of them. We have redshirt freshman Kai Arini. He's gotten the start in the first two duels. But we also have redshirt sophomore Jarrett Trombley. He's a two-time NCAA qualifier, and we're expecting Trombley to roll out this weekend. It'll be his first duel of the year, and App fans are familiar. Trombley faced you guys last year. He got a solid win, and I always say Cody Russell was the biggest 125 guy in the country. So I see he's up at 33, and Cody has a little bit of history. He started at NC State before transferring to App State, but Trombley's going to be hungry. Like I said, he saw Kai get the start in the first two duels, so Trombley just wants to go out there and get that starting spot back. So expect him to come out very aggressive too.
Yeah, and sometimes that's what it takes, right? When they
Mhm.
start setting behind the guy and seeing what that's like to not be that starter, sometimes that is kind of the kick in the seat, so to speak. But yeah, Trombley, great competition last year, I believe it was with Sean Carter filling
Yep.
that 133 spot. Sean looked good. I was excited for Sean at the start of the season with that match. So it'll be interesting to see Trombley again. Always
Mhm.
always great competition. 141. I know this probably starts a little bit more movement for you guys. And I'm not sure
Absolutely.
which one, but I'm pretty sure if Tariq is starting, if he's going to make an appearance Sunday, I don't think he's there anymore for you guys, from my understanding. So,
Yeah, Tariq's actually up at 149 too. So Tariq was one of the ones that moved up a weight class. So that kind of opened up 141 for us. Obviously, Tariq finished third last year at 141, so a huge opening. We've been rolling with freshman Ryan Jack. I say freshman, but he was here last year. So he got a few matches in, but he got his matches in at 133. So he's moving up a weight class too. But off to a great start, 9-1 thus far. It's really solidified that spot at 141. Coach is looking for him to score a little bit more. A lot of decisions, but they want to see him open up and go for that major. Get another team point there. So we're looking at Ryan Jack right now. Brother Kevin Jack was a three-time All-American at the same weight class. So some big shoes to fill. Danbury, Connecticut pipeline there.
oh, nice. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see you guys putting a freshman in there for sure,
Mhm.
especially at the 141 for you guys with Tariq. That's
Yep.
always been a solid weight class. 149. A lot of anticipation for this one, I think, for wrestling fans, probably across the nation. This could have pit two very high profile wrestlers in that weight class very early in the season, but it looks like NC State might be taking another approach at 149.
Yeah, I think we're going to roll with redshirt sophomore Matt Fields. He hasn't competed this year, but great excuse. He was taking the LSATs, so he was studying. He wants to go to law school. So, we're going to roll him out, get an experience, and just see what he has. Obviously, top 10 opponent on the road doesn't get any tougher than that. NC State, very familiar with Milner. I think, he's in there 9-10 years. He seems to be at App State. Very good wrestler. So, I know NC State fans, we're looking forward to seeing what Matt Fields has. He really hasn't had this opportunity before, so something that he could really take advantage of here.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because this is Jonathan's senior year. So last year was his junior year, and like you, I'm like, man, that kid has been winning matches for a decade at least,
Yeah.
and he's just one of those guys, really, especially for our program, that is just a solid kid, solid
Mhm.
young man. If you've ever talked to him personally, he's one of those guys where you're like, it couldn't happen to a better kid. The success he's had. So, I know Jonathan's a little bit, John's a little bit disappointed in his ending performance last season, even though he did All American.
Yeah.
I know he's looking forward to getting back on that mat in competition.
I was gonna say, ending a little disappointed as an All-American. That's something. That's just shows you the drive that he has. So.
Yes, he is full go, as any of the coaches would tell you. A great young man that is always ready to go. But yeah,
Mhm.
when I spoke with him, we had an interview. You could tell he was not. He was pleased that he
Mhm.
All American, but that's not where he wanted to finish. So, a great young man, and 149. That's going to be a tough shoes for your
Mhm.
for your young man on your end because Jonathan is a handful for sure.
Absolutely.
157. I think this creates some more movement with you guys. If I recall the podcast that I last listened to you, that is some interesting movement that you guys have in those upper weight classes like that.
Are you saying the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast? If I can get my little logo in there,
There you go.
absolutely.
Yes, yes,
Got to get a
yes,
little publicity where we can. But
for
yeah,
sure.
another movement. Ed Scott. He was a true freshman last year at 149. He was our starter. Just missed out on an NCAA bid, so bumped him up to 157. That's the weight he wanted to come into, but obviously Hayden Hidley was there for a while. But now Ed's at 157. I tell you, 11-1 on the year, 10 bonus points, victories. He's been unreal scoring points. You can tell he's happy up at 157 and a little pissed off that he didn't make the NCAAs last year. So he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. And he's just come out house on fire, getting a lot of tech falls, and it's really helped the team scores right now. So expecting big things from Ed this year.
Nice. Yeah, and it wasn't an easy match for John last season at 149. So
Mhm.
157 for him could be fun for sure.
Yeah, I remember
Um,
that was an interesting one. It's a little bit of a contrast of styles too. So that was an interesting decision. Well, definitely one of the better bouts of the night. So yeah, Ed
yeah.
wants to go. He wants to beat App State this year since he fell last year.
He's going to have his hands full with Cody Bond. Cody Bond is, man, that kid, that's another kid. I'm looking forward to talking to John Mark Bentley this evening. A lot of these kids, the Anthony Burrito, the young guys, the
Mhm.
Cody Bonds for App State Wrestling really shined at the end of last year for App State. So it's going to be interesting to see Cody, obviously, facing an opponent that's stepping up that gave John a handful last season. So it'll be fun.
Mhm.
165. I will promise you, if you ask Will Formato if he remembers last season, Will Formato is going to remember last season's duel at Raleigh. Will obviously stepped into that duel or that match and had a phenomenal upset victory over number 7 Thomas Bullard. Is the Bullards Thomas still at the 165
Yep.
for?
Thomas is back at 65, and like you were saying, these guys have hit 5 times already. They actually met twice last year, like you said. Formato got the win in the duel. Bullard got him back at the NCAAs, but NCAA was a 3-2 decision, which was a little surprising considering how much these two can score. So yeah, Thomas is back in the lineup, 6th-year senior, seeing limited action this year, getting him reacclimated and everything, but no, Buller knows that he lost last year, just like you said. So I would
Yeah.
expect he would come out with a little bit of chip on his shoulder too.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. These guys are usually two guys that pour on the points. Last
Yes.
year's match against each other was only a 4-0 decision.
Yeah.
So these guys, they know each other. They've wrestled plenty of times. They know they are thinking about what the other guy is going to do before the other guy is
Yep.
most of the time. So they're great matches. You will see it. Will Formato is a great kid. Obviously, Thomas was number 7 last year when they faced him. It'll be an interesting matchup. I'm sure Thomas is looking to get that one back for sure. 174 last year. These weight classes for us last season was pretty exciting. A lot of things happened in our favor that really, I think, energized the team starting the season and going into the SoCon. So at 174 last season, that you had Daniel Bullard
Hmm.
that was number 10 against the number 17 Thomas Flitz, which fell in Thomas's favor as well. What are you guys looking for at the 174?
Well, Thomas, or excuse me, Daniel Buller has moved on. He got married, and he was the one starter we lost last year. And it's actually funny. This matchup, I said on our podcast today with Pat Poblizio, the head coach, I said it's good. It's a good thing there's no age limit in the NCAAs because these two, they've been there for a while. NC State, we're obviously going to roll out Hayden Hidley, four-time All-American, four-time ACC champion. He's been in over 100 matches here, but all down at 157. He's actually moving up 2 weight classes this year for his 6th year. He wanted to be closer to his brother Trent in weight so they could train a little bit more together. So we know what to expect from Hayden, but Hayden's not ranked as high as he has been before because people, I think, are still wondering if the 2 weight class jump will pay off or not. So a wrestler like Flitz, he knows he beat a top 10 Bullard last year. So if he could come out, get that win, get a little more confidence. So Hayden's got a little bit of a hit list this year because he knows people aren't expecting as much as they had before. But 174 is a weight class very comfortable with, know what we have. He hasn't wrestled that much this year, but expect him to be in the lineup a lot more going forward.
Nice. Yeah, that'll be fun to watch. Moving up 2 weight classes, back and forth
Yep.
to a weight class is pretty common. I don't know if I've ever seen a situation and talking about the changes in a weight class that I've seen somebody move up two like that. So that'll be pretty interesting. What is Hayden a super senior? Is he coming back for his?
Yes. Came back for his
Mm,
6th year, so obviously this will be the 6th year and final year. But it's also interesting. Like I would agree with you. You don't hear of 2 weight classes, but the amount of weight that he was cutting and all that, and he
yeah,
says now he actually was able to lift this summer, which he hasn't done for a while. Believe it or not, he's not doing 2 hours of cardio a day to get down to 157. So I think it's going to be a very positive change for him. He says he's a lot faster now because he's more agile and all this. So he thinks
yeah.
it's the most positive change out there, and the coaches are excited to see him more at 174. We haven't seen him too much this year, so a match on the road at 174 is definitely something we're looking forward to.
Yeah, that'll be fun to watch, especially being his first one out there with that. That'll be good. Takes us up to the 184 weight class. Who do you guys have for the 184 this year?
Little brother Trent Hidley, he's up at 184. So we know what we're going to get from Trent. Trent just goes out there. I think both matches so far, he's got a pin and he's got a tech fall and he got a takedown within the first 5 seconds of both. He has worked on his offense so much this summer. He did a lot of freestyle this summer, so it's interesting to see how that translates to folk style. But Trent has high expectations. NCAA finalist last year. Obviously, wants to get back there. ACC champion last year. Wants to get back there again. So very high expectations for Trent. We're talking national title contender, obviously.
Nice. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see Trent in that weight class. We didn't see him there last year.
Yeah,
Obviously, one of
last year he
those.
was recovering from surgery, so he wasn't in the
That's
App
right.
State duel. So he'll be back. He's been a force in the room all year so far this year. So
Nice. And 197, I think, if I remember correctly, you guys are bringing Nick back at the 197, correct?
no, Renan's actually going down to 84.
Ah,
Renan's back on the team, 6th year. But yeah, he got a pin last year against App State at 97, I believe. But
yep.
we have freshman Isaac Trumbull at 97. He kind of split time with Renan last year. Renan won a wrestle off right before the ACC, so Renan was in our
Mm,
postseason lineup. But 184 is much more of a natural weight for Renan. He really wrestled up. So Isaac's filled that role. Isaac came from Nebraska. The kid's a pinner. If he gets you down, he'll work you on top. He'll turn you. He'll get the pin. Very excited. He's about 6'3", just a very tall wrestler. Can still put on
oh,
some more
wow.
weight. It'll be interesting to see down the road where he ends up here. But yeah, very excited about Isaac. Gets us a lot of points at 197. 10-0 on the season thus far, so a very good start.
Yeah, that'll be good to see. Good to see him wrestle for sure. Um, Heavyweight, the 285 guys. Is Dante Wilson coming back?
Yeah, 285 is probably our second weight that's kind of open right now, and honestly, it might be between three guys, which is kind of weird because Deontay Wilson's an ACC champion. He's coming back, but Owen Trafon, he won the wrestle off. He represented us in the first duel. Deontay was in last week's lineup, so it's going to be going back and forth a lot. You know, I actually don't even know who we're going to put out there for this App State duel. They're still figuring out. We still have two more we're taping this on Thursday. We still have two more practices before App State. So that's going to be a question mark. I believe, they're going to take them to the Southern Scuffle here and let them battle it out one last time. So a lot of competition at heavyweight for us, two totally different styles. So it's really exciting to see.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, we've talked about a little bit that inter squad competition like that. Iron sharpens iron. If you're
Yep.
not the best guy on the team and on the roster at that spot, there's always a challenge, and it's obvious with NC State. Bringing five freshmen up to
Yeah.
start this duel is very interesting, especially the talent you guys have in those weight classes. Going to be an exciting time, Brian.
Mhm.
You said you're coming up
Absolutely.
there Sunday. You'll be in Varsity Gym. Get a little taste of that very intimate venue that
Yep.
we have there for wrestling. So looking forward to finally meeting you. Hopefully we get to talk with
Yep.
Pat at the end of the mat duel on Sunday and get some words from him as you guys as we wrap up there. So
Absolutely.
Brian, I can't thank you enough. Last minute, literally, I think I messaged Brian sometime yesterday or late last night or something and say, hey, man, can you come on? Because my scheduling is that hectic. And then we
No.
changed it again today. So, Brian, I definitely appreciate your time. If you will, give us your plug. Where can people find you, follow you on social media, that sort of thing?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I appreciate you having me on again. Always great to talk wrestling. Very much looking forward to this in-state duel. I know we face each other every year, but there's just some great matchups, and our guys are looking forward to getting on the road. As you can see Pack Mentality Poppins podcast. I don't know if App State fans want to listen to about NC State wrestling the whole time, but that's where we're located. Twitter at Pack Wrestle. We try to provide some great off the mat content. Honestly, we're just trying to get our guys out there, let fans know a little bit about them and different kind of platforms. And App State's doing a great job. The same thing. I know they brought you aboard doing this kind of stuff. So it's just great to talk some wrestling, and you don't always get that. You haven't always had that in the past. So wrestling in the state of North Carolina is really taken off, and we're very excited for what's going on. I know App State has a huge week hosting us, then hosting another school down the road. I'm not too familiar with what their name is, but I know it's a big weekend for App State. So
Yeah.
NC State, definitely looking forward to it. We know it's going to be a rowdy crowd. Everybody wants to see NC State lose over that way. So looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on. Always appreciate talking wrestling.
Yeah, for sure, Brian. And it's funny that you kind of mentioned what is going on in North Carolina in wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
especially college wrestling and even high school wrestling
Yep.
nowadays. I will tell you, if you're not a fan of wrestling, or even if you are, if you look at the United States as a whole, if you don't realize what's happening in North Carolina in high school and college wrestling, you're completely missing out.
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina is literally becoming an Iowa. You name it in the Midwest, Pennsylvania. What is happening? And the more exciting thing is, for the Southeast, we're it. Like, there's not
Mm-hmm.
Georgia on the map. There's not South Carolina on the map. There's not an Alabama on. They're there, but they're not competing. So
Yep.
the talent pool that can come into North Carolina from the South is very exciting. If you're not paying attention to it, if you're a big wrestling fan, just take a look at and see what's going on. But Sunday, I will tell you, will be the best competition in the state
Mm-hmm.
in wrestling. Is going to be in Boone, North Carolina. You're not going to want to miss it. A little bit of a tidbit of some information. Those wrestling events are some of the highest attended student athletic events on campus.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of football, wrestling has that top list. So it's a great crowd. It's a great time. And I tell everybody, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's the only sporting event that you'll have one guy from NC State and one guy from App
Yep.
State that are competing against each other for the school at a time. So
Mm-hmm.
go check it out. Some amazing talent. As Brian said, really the reason for him and I doing this It's to showcase those young men because it doesn't happen enough for them. And that's what we're all about. Brian, appreciate you again, man. Always
Thank
great.
you.
I will tell you, we do have a reason to go listen to Pack Mentality podcast today because he just posted their App State pre-duel episode.
Yep.
So go listen to those guys. Pat, he's got the coach on over there. I'm going to listen to it this evening because it just dropped right before we came on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I kind of fake being so knowledgeable about everything, but I just taped our own podcast about the previews of the matchup. So that helped. So, no, but JB, thanks a lot for having me on. Can't wait to meet you Sunday. Can't wait to watch this duel.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you. Appreciate you, Brian. And you have a good evening, and we'll see you for sure Sunday afternoon in bed. Hey, appreciate everybody listening. Appreciate Brian's time. I'm excited. I would tell you the reason I do this, started this endeavor with John Mark in the program was to showcase those young men. It is, I will tell you right now, you ask anybody that's done wrestling and competed in other sports, hands down, the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life is wrestled in high school. Football, the Army, basic training, all of that very easy compared to the regiment that those guys go through. So when we say, as App State fans, as Mountaineers, giving their all for Appalachian State, those guys are giving their all for Appalachian State. And what most of us don't realize that aren't big into wrestling is there's really no off season for our wrestlers. I mean, they're competing at collegiate level, and then they're off doing their competitions, usually in a freestyle format during the off season. So it's not like a football team that can't do anything, right? There's restrictions that say they can't do anything as a team, as there are with wrestling. But for wrestlers, they go off and do their own thing to continue to develop. So very interesting, and a part of it, obviously, outside of college for them is training for hopefuls with the Olympic team. So it's a continuous thing. I will tell you, Varsity Gym Sunday is going to be wild. If you're interested to be a part of it, go get a ticket and hope to see you there. We'll have it on Rockfin. Go check us out on Rockfin. It'll be streaming there starting at 3 p.m. We should have Saba back doing some commentating, and hopefully one other gentleman will join him as well. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Go check us out, and see you guys on Sunday. Go Apps.
This has been a production by Yosef Media.